Exclusive. Joss's WSB mission goes deadly wrong at Five Poppies Resort. As Jason makes desperate call to Carly, the tranquil facade of the Five Poppies Resort in Croatia has become a battlefield, and Jocelyn Jax finds herself fighting for her life alongside fellow WSB agent Vaughn. In what was supposed to be a routine surveillance mission, what started as an undercover operation to investigate Professor Henry Dalton's mysterious tech project has spiraled into a deadly confrontation with an underground criminal network that threatens to claim multiple lives. Joss and Vaughn's cover as newlyweds has been completely blown by Pascal, the resort's menacing concierge, who revealed himself to be far more than a simple hotel employee. When Pascal confronted Joss with her real dossier, calling her Agent Jax, the young WSB operative knew her carefully constructed identity had crumbled. The romantic honeymoon charade she and Vaughn had maintained while gathering intelligence on Dalton's connections was over, replaced by a terrifying reality where her life hung in the balance. The situation deteriorated rapidly when Pascal's associates captured both agents, dragging them to a secluded area of the resort for interrogation. Joss watched in horror as Vaughn was brutally tortured by their captors, who demanded information about WSB operations and what Jack Brennan knew about their organization. The sight of Vaughn's pain broke something inside Joss, leading her to make a desperate bargain with Pascal, offering him the code to Brennan's safe in exchange for Vaughn's safety. But the most shocking revelation came when Britt Westburn emerged from the shadows, very much alive despite everyone in Port Charles believing she had died from the Hook's poisonous attack years earlier. Britt's presence at Five Poppies wasn't coincidental. She's been working with the mysterious criminal organization, though her exact role remains unclear. The doctor who once saved Joss's life from the Hook now finds herself on the opposite side of a dangerous game. Jason Morgan's arrival at the resort was both a blessing and a complication. Following his own investigation into Britt's whereabouts, Jason had tracked her to Croatia, unaware that his goddaughter Joss was conducting her own covert mission. When Jason encountered Pascal during his search for Britt, the tension was palpable. The former mob enforcer's reputation preceded him, but even Jason found himself outmaneuvered by the resort's security network. The confrontation between Jason and Britt was anything but the romantic reunion fans might have expected. Britt was cold and defensive, refusing to explain her survival or her current circumstances. Her connection to the criminal organization appears complex. She needs their medical supplies to manage her Huntington's disease, but her cooperation comes at a deadly cost. When Jason warned her about the danger she was in, Britt's response was to make a phone call warning someone that they have a problem. The violence escalated when one of Pascal's operatives attempted to eliminate Vaughn. During the torture session, in a split-second decision that would haunt her, Joss grabbed a weapon and fired, killing the attacker to save Vaughn's life. The young woman who had never taken a life found herself trembling under a hotel shower, the weight of her actions crashing down on her as Vaughn tried to comfort her through her trauma. But comfort turned into something more dangerous when their shared adrenaline and fear led to an intimate encounter. Joss and Vaughn crossed a line that complicated their professional relationship at the worst possible time. For Joss, this was her first romantic connection since losing Dex, making the emotional stakes even higher as their mission continued to unravel around them. Meanwhile, Jason realized the full scope of the danger when he understood that both Joss and Britt were trapped in a web of criminal activity that threatened their lives. The organization operating out of Five Poppies appeared to have international connections, with resources and ruthlessness that made even Jason's mob experience seem tame by comparison. Pascal and his associates weren't simple criminals. They were part of something much larger and more dangerous. The injuries Joss sustained during their captivity became increasingly severe as Pascal's interrogation methods grew more brutal. When it became clear that neither agent could provide the information he wanted, Pascal's patience ran out entirely. The beating Joss received left her barely conscious, her body broken and her spirit pushed to its limits. Vaughn's attempts to shield her from the worst of the violence only resulted in more punishment for both of them. Faced with the possibility of losing his goddaughter, Jason made the most difficult decision of his life. Despite the risk of exposing sensitive information and potentially compromising other operations, he reached for his phone to call Carly. The conversation would shatter Carly's world. Not only was her daughter in mortal danger, thousands of miles away, but she had been living a complete lie about her career path. "Carly, I need you to listen to me very carefully." Jason's voice was steady despite the chaos around him. "Joss isn't in Australia studying. She's here in Croatia, and she's working for the WSB. She's been captured, and she's badly hurt. I need you and Sonny to get here now if we have any chance of getting her out alive." The silence on the other end of the line was deafening as Carly processed the revelation that her daughter had become a spy for the same organization that employed her boyfriend, Jack Brennan. The betrayal cut deep. Not only had Joss lied about her whereabouts, but Brennan had recruited her daughter without Carly's knowledge or consent. The romantic relationship Carly had been building with the WSB chief now felt like a calculated manipulation designed to get closer to her family. Carly's shock quickly transformed into maternal fury as Jason described the extent of Joss's injuries and the organized nature of their captors. The mother who had protected her children from countless threats now faced her worst nightmare. Her daughter was trapped in a foreign country, working for an organization she barely understood, facing enemies who had no qualms about torturing and killing federal agents. The clock was ticking as Jason worked desperately to locate the exact holding facility where Joss and Vaughn were being kept. Britt's insider knowledge of the resort's layout could be crucial, but her loyalty remained questionable. Would she risk her medical treatment and safety to help rescue the young woman whose life she had once saved? Or had her desperation for survival made her too valuable an asset to the criminal organization to turn against them? Sonny's resources and connections would be essential for any rescue operation, but even his considerable influence had limits in international waters. The criminal network operating out of Five Poppies had clearly been planning for contingencies, with escape routes and defensive measures that suggested they were prepared for exactly this kind of situation. As Joss fought to stay conscious through another round of Pascal's interrogation, she clung to the hope that somehow, someway, her family would find her before it was too late. The young woman who had joined the WSB to seek justice for Dex's murder now faced the very real possibility that her quest for vengeance might cost her everything she held dear. The battle for Five Poppies was about to begin, with multiple lives hanging in the balance and secrets that could destroy families forever. Would Jason's desperate call to Carly result in a rescue mission, or would it only add more casualties to an already deadly situation? The answers would determine not only Joss's fate, but the future of everyone she loved. Next, we will learn about the shocking suspicions swirling around Michael Corinthos and Willow Tate in their heated custody showdown. Oh, the drama in Port Charles just keeps escalating, doesn't it? Michael Corinthos, that steadfast family man with a heart of gold but a temper that could rival his father's, has been piecing together a puzzle that's straight out of a nightmare. He's convinced deep in his bones that Willow Tate, his ex and the mother of his children Wiley and Amelia, has crossed unimaginable lines. Picture this: Michael staring daggers at Willow, his voice low and accusatory, dropping the bombshell line, "I know you targeted Daisy and Sasha." Those words alone could shatter their fragile co-parenting truce and send shockwaves through the entire Corinthos clan. It's not just about custody anymore. It's about betrayal on a level that makes your skin crawl. Michael, who's always prided himself on protecting his loved ones, now sees Willow as a threat lurking in the shadows, her actions potentially endangering innocent lives. With his world already rocked by recent family upheavals, including tensions with his uncle Drew Kane, Michael's patience is wearing thin, and this revelation might be the spark that ignites a full-blown war. Let's dive deeper into why Michael is on the verge of this explosive confrontation. It all stems from a series of eerie events that forced Sasha Gilmore Corbin Michael's former flame and the mother of their precious daughter Daisy to pack up and flee Port Charles in terror. Daisy, that adorable bundle born in the summer of 2025 amid so much hope and heartache, became the unwitting center of a storm. Michael believes Willow orchestrated it all as a twisted form of payback, after losing primary custody of Wiley and Amelia in a courtroom battle that left scars on everyone involved. Willow's resentment reportedly boiled over. She didn't just stew in silence, she allegedly turned her fury toward Daisy, staging creepy incidents that made Sasha fear for her child's safety every single day. Imagine the paranoia: strange noises in the night, anonymous threats slipping under doors, and shadowy figures spotted near their home. Sasha, already fragile from her own past traumas like the loss of her son and battles with addiction, couldn't take it anymore. She grabbed Daisy and bolted, leaving Michael heartbroken and seething. Now, as he connects the dots perhaps through hushed conversations with friends or overlooked clues from security footage, Michel's certainty grows. He's not one to act impulsively, but with his protective instincts in overdrive. He's ready to lay it all out. This isn't just revenge, it's a calculated strike at Michael's happiness, and if true, it paints Willow as a far more dangerous figure than anyone suspected, possibly unraveling her carefully maintained image as a devoted mother fighting for her rights. Of course, no soap opera twist is complete without a dash of investigative intrigue, and that's where Dante Falconeri comes into play. As a dedicated detective and Michael's half-brother, Dante has his ear to the ground, quietly digging into the mysteries surrounding those alarming incidents with Daisy. Rumors are flying that he's zeroing in on traffic camera footage from nearby streets, those unblinking eyes that capture every car, every pedestrian, every suspicious movement. Could there be crystal clear evidence placing Willow right at the scene, her vehicle caught in the frame during one of those terrifying moments? It's the kind of proof that could seal her fate in court, turning whispers into undeniable facts. But here's the kicker. Michael might not even wait for Dante's findings. His famous Corinthos for the same intensity that led to that infamous punch-up with Drew, over unrelated family drama simmering just below the surface. One more provocation, like Willow pushing for more visitation time or making a snide remark about his parenting, and he could unleash everything. Invent a scenario where Michael corners her at the Quartermain mansion during a tense family gathering, the air thick with unspoken accusations. Dante's involvement adds layers, too. As a cop with a moral compass, he might urge caution. But if the footage confirms Willow's guilt, it could lead to official charges, escalating this from a personal feud to a legal nightmare. The uncertainty keeps us on edge. Will Dante uncover the smoking gun, or will Michael's intuition drive the confrontation forward without it? Now, envision the moment of truth. Michael's accusation hits Willow like a freight train. She's been sailing along, thinking her secrets are buried deep, perhaps even congratulating herself on outsmarting everyone in her quest for revenge. But when those words "I know you targeted Daisy" and Sasha echo in the room, her world tilts. Expect a whirlwind of reactions. She might stammer in denial, her eyes wide with feigned innocence, insisting it was all a misunderstanding or pinning the blame on someone else, like Drew, who's already entangled in their messy web of relationships. Or perhaps she'll spiral into one of her signature emotional breakdowns, tears streaming as she claims stress from the custody fight pushed her to the brink. Add in some invented tension. Maybe Willow flashes back to her own painful losses, like the death of her son Hank or her battles with leukemia, using them as excuses in a desperate bid for sympathy. Her panic could manifest in frantic phone calls to allies like Nina Reeves, begging for alibis, or even a reckless attempt to destroy evidence before Dante gets too close. The beauty of this setup is the unpredictability. Not just a villain, she's a complex character whose desperation might lead to heartbreaking confessions or outright lies that dig her hole deeper. Fans are buzzing about how this could humanize her or cement her as the ultimate antagonist. But one thing's for sure, her response will be a masterclass in soap opera emotion, leaving Michael and US reeling from the fallout. Looking ahead, this bombshell could redefine everything between Michael and Willow, potentially slamming the door on her hopes for any visitation with Wiley and Amelia. If Michael wields this secret like a weapon in court, painting Willow as unstable and vengeful, no judge in their right mind would risk the kid's safety. Imagine the hearing turning into a spectacle, with witnesses recounting the stalking saga and expert testimonies on parental fitness. Willow's escalating obsession might push her to extremis. Think a frantic kidnapping attempt, disguised as a family outing, or forging an alliance with one of Sonny Corinthos' rivals to gain leverage. On the flip side, this chaos opens tantalizing doors for romance. Michael and Sasha, bonded by their shared parenthood of Daisy and the trauma inflicted by Willow, could find solace in each other again. Their chemistry, portrayed so vividly by actors Chad Duell and Sophia Matson-Waite. Actually Rory Gibson? No, Chad Duell as Michael. Let's clarify for accuracy, has always sizzled, and fans of the Misha pairing are clamoring for a reunion. Picture tender scenes of them reuniting in a quiet cabin outside Port Charles, Daisy giggling between them as they heal old wounds. The writers seem poised to steer Willow toward a full villainous turn, complete with manipulative schemes, or perhaps a redemptive mental health arc where she seeks help for her demons. Either path promises fireworks, turning the custody battle into an all-out battlefield with alliances shifting and secrets exploding left and right. To wrap things up with some quick insights, yes, Daisy is indeed Michael and Sasha's daughter, a little miracle born in June 2025, far removed from Willow's orbit. Willow's alleged targeting stems from raw revenge, mirroring the agony she felt losing her own kids. And if proof emerges of her actions against Daisy, visitation rights could vanish in an instant, leaving Willow isolated and the Corinthos family forever changed. Next, we will learn about the lingering what-if surrounding Elizabeth Weber and Jason Morgana pairing that once set Port Charles abuzz yet somehow slipped through the cracks of fate. The last time these two shared the screen, the tension was thick enough to slice with a scalpel. Elizabeth, still wearing the traces of an overnight shift at General Hospital, found herself inches from Jason in the dimly lit stairwell, outside the supply room, an accidental meeting that felt anything but accidental. Neither could decide whether circumstance or personal choice carried more weight in their stalled romance, yet both agreed on one thing: zero regrets. Elizabeth's voice broke just slightly when she whispered that she was grateful for at least one night where reality bent in their favor, a night that still glows in flashbacks like moonlight on fresh snow. Fans can't forget that singular evening 6 winters ago when Elizabeth stumbled across Jason, half frozen and bleeding after an ambush on Route 115. She dragged him to a rented lakeside cabin. Her artist retreat turned impromptu safe house and nursed him with shaky hands and steady devotion. Between sponge baths and clandestine phone calls to Sunny for updates, the two forged a bond deeper than bullet wounds and far more delicate than hospital gauze. It was there, in front of a sputtering fireplace, that they surrendered to something raw and beautiful. They never called it love, they didn't have to. That cabin became their snow globe moment, sealed away from mob wars, custody hearings, and hospital politics. Fast forward to the present, and Elizabeth stands firm she wouldn't erase that night for anything, not even to spare herself the heartache that followed. She's a mother of 3 now, juggling Jake's robotics competitions, Cameron's online classes at PCU, and Aiden's latest culinary adventures. Her life is full, chaotic, and grounded in the relative safety of hospital corridors. Yet in quieter hours, she admits that her heart still does a funny little flip whenever a motorcycle engine echoes down Harborview Road. That's not regret, that's muscle memory. Jason, for his part, has never been one to wax poetic about feelings, but actions speak. He keeps the silver SD Christopher medal Elizabeth slipped into his jacket pocket that snowy night. It rides shotgun on every assignment Sunny hands him. Whenever danger escalates, like the recent warehouse explosion on Water Street, Jason's first text is to Spinelli for intel, his second to Elizabeth to let her know he's alive. He won't allow himself the luxury of more than that. In his mind, loving Elizabeth openly would paint a target on not just her, but also on Jake, Cameron, and Aiden. And so he remains the silent guardian, visible only at life's periphery, Esperant teacher conferences he just happens to fund, anonymous blood donations when her ICU unit runs short, and the occasional rooftop cameo when she needs a confidant at 3 a.m. Of course, Port Charles citizens have opinions, loud, relentless opinions. Message boards exploded last Friday after their latest scene aired, the comment thread stretching longer than a Quartermain brunch menu. One viewer argued that Elizabeth would never truly accept the violence, shadowing Jason's every breath, no matter how many times she said otherwise during midnight crisis talks. Another insisted that writers squandered a golden opportunity by not reuniting Lyson. The moment Steve Burton returned to the canvas last year. Give us the real endgame we deserve, the fan pleaded, posting a gif of Elizabeth rescuing Jason from a snowbank for nostalgic effect. Yet a third camp champions the status quo. Elizabeth thrives when she's anchored in the hospital's moral gray zones, not the criminal underworld's pitch black dark. She's a trauma nurse, not a getaway driver, one commenter quipped, pointing out that Jason himself once told her he couldn't bear watching her scrub Sunny's blood from her shoes. Their love story, they argue, is an unbreakable stalemate, each protecting the other by staying apart. Some fans go further, spinning intricate theories of how the writers could thread the needle. Imagine a future arc where Jason accepts semi-legitimate work running a security tech firm for Aurora Media, freeing him from Sunny's trigger-happy orbit. Picture Elizabeth stepping into a chief of staff training program, only to discover the hospital's new private security contract is surprise Jason's company. Cue workplace proximity, clandestine coffee runs, and late-night alarm system tests that spark old chemistry under fluorescent lights. It's deliciously plausible yet remains stubbornly hypothetical, always one script edit away from reality. At the heart of every debate sits the question of maternal instinct versus soulmate pull. Elizabeth carries the memories of watching mob fallout decimate families, Sam's near-fatal shooting in her own living room, Michael's lost childhood innocence, and the year Jake was presumed dead. Those scars taught her that love can't compete with bullets and that a mother's first vow is to her children. Jason knows this. He's seen Sonny's enemies exploit every soft spot, from warehouse windows to church pews. In one chilling flashback he recounts to Carly, he imagines Elizabeth stumbling into crossfire while picking up a den from art camp. That waking nightmare alone keeps him planted on the fringes of her life. And still, the spark endures. When Jake invited Jason to his science fair awards night last month, Elizabeth watched from the bleachers as father and son exchanged shy smiles over a prize-winning solar-powered drone. Cameras clicked, flashbulbs went off, and for a heartbeat the trio looked like any family. Free of mob ties and hospital alarms, Elizabeth tucked that snapshot into a scrapbook, right next to an old Polaroid of that snowbound cabin, proof that impossible moments sometimes bloom in the harshest storms. So where do we go from here? Spoiler whispers hint that an upcoming Metro Court charity gala honoring the late Epiphany Johnson will seat Elizabeth and Jason at the same VIP table. Expect slow dances, half-finished sentences, and eyes that say more than dialogue ever could. Rumor also has it that an anonymous donor will bid on a private art lesson with Elizabeth, forcing Jason's competitive streak to flare. Will he risk exposure by outbidding a room full of rivals, or will he hang back, letting another man step into a moment he secretly covets? The writers have woven a tantalizing cliffhanger, and fans are already sharpening their keyboards for the fallout. In the end, Elizabeth's declaration of no regrets rings loudest. She refuses to apologize for loving Jason in stolen intervals, just as she won't fault him for keeping his distance in the name of safety. Their relationship is a canvas half-painted, bold strokes of passion, blank spaces left intentionally untouched, forever teasing what the finished piece could look like. Whether destiny finally hands them better timing or whether the cost will always be too steep remains one of General Hospital's most captivating riddles. As we count down to the next episode, keep your alerts on and your shipping flags ready. In Port Charles, love is rarely simple, timing is never perfect, and sometimes the most powerful romance is the one that lives in the space between heartbeats.